Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Campus Care Ed Talks. I, Mehek, your host for the day, would like to welcome you all. Ed Talks is a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints on topics related to education and society. A topic for the day is assessment reforms and competency based learning. And for the same, we have with us Mrs. Seema Sheikh ma'am, principal of Pragnya Bodhini High School, Maharashtra. Very welcome, ma'am. How are you?
Very fine, thank you. I'm looking forward to this session.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Then we have with us Miss Jayashree ma'am, principal of SNBP International School, Pune. Very welcome, Jayashree ma'am. How are you?
Thank you so much. Pleasure being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And then we have with us Miss Veena ma'am, principal of Edify World School, Hyderabad. Very welcome, Veena ma'am.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. Looking forward to an enriching session.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So let's begin off with the session, ma'am. Seema, ma'am, you were just mentioning about the challenges that you're facing right now. So could you please brief us about some current challenges that you're facing by traditional assessment methods of assessment reforms, ma'am? Ma'am, you're on mute actually.
Sorry. Yeah, I think that we really need to look into traditional assessments and how we can cope up with it. The first thing that I always find is in traditional assessment, we many a times find lack of authenticity because traditional assessments often focus on memorization, they focus on rote learning, and rather than real world experiences, their approach is more of a hypothetical things. So we do not get an accurate result out of it. Perhaps I also feel that limited scope is something which really deters it. Many traditional assessments are very heavily on multiple choice. You will find that short answers, multiple choice, which many a times do not capture the full range. And I think this capturing of full range is very essential. So this traditional kind of a assessment becomes a challenge. Against traditional assessments, which are more of summative more than formative also, the standardization was something which was a matter of concern and which is even a concern today, because when we see these approaches, the objectivity part of it is lacking, and many a times it may not cater to individual needs also. So individual differences, unique strengths of the children, diverse learning styles are not taken into consideration. Sorry, I'm in school and there is KG class going on, that's why there's little noise. And there is a high stake pressure on the children. So children also what they write, we are never sure whether they are really into it. So because understanding and retention is a challenge. The child has really written everything, but yet he has not understood anything. So this is the challenge of traditional kind of things. Many other things also go into it, like most of the focus of these children is on score. So a limited feedback can be given by the teachers because parents also want the child to get marks. They will never come and ask what has my child learned. As long as the child is getting 90 and 95% marks, they are happy about it. Um, when we talk of integration of technology also, I find that technical intervention, the technical knowledge of integrating it into the assessments of today becomes a challenge in the traditional thing. Teachers are not able to do this. So I think edifying the teachers, the CPDs of the teachers is very essential. And then again, many a times the time constraints, time constraints are important. So the amalgamation of traditional and that of this becomes a challenge because they are not able to do that, amalgamating the traditional with the new methodology, because teachers have to learn it and then to integrate it and then to check on it. So all these things is really, I think it is a call for us to think whether we are going to really take assessment seriously or not. And we also, it's also worth noting this, these challenges are not unsurmountable. We can really surmount them. But what is very essential is that we need to have that kind of an open mindset that assessments can be changed. We can have a different method of learning and teaching, and not only learning and teaching but evaluating, and that continual evaluation, comprehensive evaluation which is happening, that also can be looked at from technological point of view. So a fine amalgamation of the traditional and the technological can help us overcome these challenges. That's what I feel. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Seema ma'am. Very well explained. And Praveen ma'am has joined with us. Very welcome, Praveen ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and apologies for joining
No
late.
worries, ma'am. She's the principal of Samsara, the World Academy, Uttar Pradesh. So, ma'am, Seema ma'am was just, telling us about the challenges that they are currently facing uh, by using traditional assessment methods. Ma'am, would you like to add something to Seema ma'am?
Yeah, see, the challenges, ma'am, had very widely sort of covered up more or less all the schools are facing similar sort of challenges. But what I would like to bring out here is last 10 days ago, I was in Abu Dhabi and Dubai conducting, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah, conducting sessions for a very reputed chain of schools, CBSE schools, and my topic was luckily assessment and evaluation. And to my horror and shock, I found that the interpretation they had undertaken of the continuous assessment was very, very different from what I think CBSE expects us to do. So, what they were really doing was they were assessing each and every child on each and every topic that they were covering, as well as the subtopic. Whereas the CBSE has never sort of mandated us to conduct the assessment of every topic or every subtopic. What CBSE insists upon is that we have to do the assessment based on the learning outcomes. Whether those learning outcomes have been achieved or not, that is what we have to assess. And learning outcomes across various topics can be common, and the teachers came and discussed, and they were finding it very difficult to carry on the continuous assessment of all their students all the time. And when moment sort of I discussed with them that it is the learning outcome which has to be assessed, and not the topic, because topic may vary from book to book, from publisher to publisher, and that is the time when they understood that yes, where they were going wrong. So it's very, very important for us to make our teachers understand that everything is vertically linked. One is that the type of pedagogy you use in your classroom to achieve those learning outcomes, and the methods you've used, the depth you've gone into in achieving those, and the activities you've used, they all are going to define the assessment that you are going to undertake towards assessing whether the learning outcomes have been achieved or not. So that was a very ground reality experience which I came across, and nobody expected that people would misinterpret continuous assessment to be in that direction. For If I have time, allow me 1 more minute. For example, if I have taught in my classroom, say, the freedom fighters, and the activity or the pedagogy I have used is a project-based pedagogy, and in the project I have given the children to find out to make a collage and put up the pictures of different freedom fighters. Whereas in another class, I have used the same topic, but the pedagogy I have used is again project based, but the depth I have used is I asked them not only to paste the picture and make a collage, but also to compare and contrast the philosophies they stood for, and which sort of philosophy would the students prefer and why. They will have to justify. Now, if I've used for the same topic two different methods and two different pedagogies, my assessment has to be very different, because in the previous case, my learning outcome would be that students were resourceful, they were able to identify different freedom fighters. Whereas in the second case, it is like they're able to analyze different philosophies, they're able to evaluate and come out with their own judgment. So, learning outcomes have to be kept in focus when we are assessing. So, that's my take on the assessments.
Can I add just one thing if you don't mind?
Yes, ma'am, please.
I'm so happy, Pramin, you put it so beautifully. I feel that two things if we are able to do. Most of the times, teachers confuse about how to take ahead assessments and they concentrate on content, So that has to be brought under control. The second thing is teachers themselves are not aware of what is their expected learning outcome. And that is why we need to make it mandatory that when a teacher starts teaching, rather than writing the name of the topic on the board, I always tell the teachers they must write about the expected learning outcomes on the blackboard. And then only assessments will be easy. Otherwise, we are always going to get into this rut of traditional assessments. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, can I add on this? In fact, the question actually talked about traditional assessment methods. So I was wondering whether, we are talking about conventional or traditional. Now, traditionally, I mean, I think we all studied this particular story of how Dronacharya trained or assessed his children, his students, on the archery skill. What did he do? 105 children, one on one. He got them to aim at a bird's eye located on a tree, and he checked with them as to what they saw. Each student had a different answer, to which he patiently did not say, "You are wrong, you are right." He just went on and on until it came to Arjuna, who happened to say that I'm just seeing the bird's eye and nothing else. A teacher of today would actually be telling children that, you know what, when you are aiming at the bird and the eye, you should be seeing only the eye and nothing else. I think this is what is the major difference. So it's not about traditional methods. I beg to differ. It's the conventional. We have actually lowered our assessment methods because it's easier to do the mass teaching. He was absolutely brilliant when he was wanting to know about the learning outcome. Dronacharya. 105 students. He had the patience to listen to each and every response without commenting on who is right, who is wrong. The skill said it all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
ma'am.
thank you so much. Yeah.
Moving on, Veena ma'am, when we are speaking of competency-based learning, ma'am, so in your opinion, how does this competency-based learning improve the education outcomes, ma'am?
Yeah, good evening once again. See, I totally resonate with all the thoughts that have come in so far with regard to the assessments. Now, when we talk about competency-based, learning and the assessment pattern, that takes us to how are we guiding our children to be prepared for the future, which is very important. We know that it's a competitive world, and our assessments have to cater to the needs of the students and how we are grooming them for the future learning or future career options. So, as rightly said by Jayashree ma'am, individualized assessment pattern should be in. So, now we are evolving, we are growing in the education sector. Our assessment should be catered to each and individual child or a learner. It can be done on a child per se or in pair or in group. That's what we talk about the formative assessments that we organize in our classrooms. Because the way they learn and adapt from the peers or in pair, it really makes a lot of difference, and it also makes the education or the assessment pattern totally stress free, unlike the way we used to do it before. And as rightly said by Praveen ma'am, that the learning outcome and the success criteria are very, very important for a teacher and a student to know. This is my learning outcome, and how am I able to reach the success criteria? On the basis of that, once we as leaders guide our teachers how to go about planning the assessment on these two features, definitely we prepare our children for the competency based, total education system. So, what happens is a child should face the real world basically. And when we are mapping these learning outcome and success criteria, the child, if the child is able to cater to the learning outcome and success criteria, teachers and school job is done, is what I feel. Because success criteria itself proves that the child has taken the learning to the real life experiences. And once we have, I totally believe in that assessment should be in a way that the child doesn't even know that it's an assessment going on. It can happen regularly, ongoing in the classrooms, and it should be formative, basically. Though summative assessment has to be there, we are bound to have it in our schools, but the way the formative assessments are being taken up in the classroom or in the complete term,
that really equips the child for the competency based learning, which I totally, strongly feel that this is how we need to follow. The entire education system in the 21st century has changed. And if every child knows what his learning objective is, how he is going to achieve it, as rightly said by Jayashree ma'am, the child should be able to focus only on the I. And whether we are able to give that, environment for a child to learn, explore, and present, that really matters a lot. That is the whole meaning of education, is what I feel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Moving on, Jayashree ma'am. Ma'am beautifully mentioned the importance, how is competency-based learning improving the learning outcomes. So, ma'am, when it comes to technology, what is the role of technology, in your opinion, in implementing assessment reforms that we are speaking of, and the competency-based learning also? Ma'am, you're on mute actually. Jayashree ma'am, you're on mute.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah. So technology, I think, is the best tool to measure individual learning outcomes. Okay, I mean, which possibly physically may not be present, which may not be possible. So it would be like every child's competence responses could be measured, and AI could actually work on how much of learning has happened. Learning has to be transformational in nature. When we talk about learning outcome, what is learning outcome? It is ability to apply your knowledge and reach a level of competence. So which becomes transformational in nature. So I think AI could be possibly used to a very, very great extent to measure how much of learning has happened for every child, because that becomes very, very profound for a single teacher to handle. And it could actually become independent of human intervention too, and devoid of bias, because when there is a human intervention, there would be a bias. So it could actually be devoid of bias, and thereby I think it can be a very, very good tool to handle assessment.
Just it was wonderfully said. Can I add one thing, if you don't mind?
Sure.
I also feel that technology is important because technological assessments give us a real time feedback, and they are so immediate gratification kind of a thing. So that is
Agree.
something which really enables the children to understand where they really stand. And these technological assessments can be very well made very adaptive assessments also. So as per the need of the child, especially these are the assessments which give us a very inclusive approach. And I think when we have case studies and kind of portfolios which we make, that becomes very apt for using it in the classrooms. And above all, I feel that as teachers, when we are looking at our classrooms, the data analysis part of the assessments, is something which we get immediately, and we are able to reflect on what we have done in the classroom. So assessments for learning for our own selves, so that becomes something which is very important. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you
and
so much.
let me just add on one more point here. See, assessment is not only about self-reflection for a student as well as for a teacher, that how much of learning outcomes have been achieved and where are the gaps. It also requires to evidence keeping. We have to keep evidence for the board, we have to keep evidence for the student, for the parents, for the community. So there the technology plays a very, very important role when I convert all my assessment tools in the online mode and keep a record keeping. So that's in addition to whatever others have already spoken about.
Great.
Thank you so much, Praveen ma'am. Thank you so much, Seema ma'am and Jayashree ma'am. Moving on, Seema ma'am. Ma'am, what are some of the examples, ma'am, if you could give us, of competency-based learning, ma'am, of competency-based assessment that you are currently using in your school or
So
university?
we use a lot of portfolios, so students are able to compile a collection of their own work, showcase their knowledge, their skills, their abilities in various areas. And I think that is something which really helps. Also, a lot of PBL, that is project based learning and activity based learning, that these are the things that we use. Case studies is something, because case studies also can be on the online mode, offline mode, both ways we can do. Children, like this time, all our oral presentations are happening online. We are only having the written test, that too the summative assessment tests are happening in the school. The formative assessments are going through Google Link. So it is becoming much more easy for the children. One more thing that we are trying to do, which we have not yet been able to, because of, as I will say, the edifying of the teachers and becoming more competent in technology, and that is simulation, which we would like to do it for higher classes. So simulation techniques can be used, which really also help. And one more thing that we have started looking at, and then it is a hybrid kind of a model, which is internship or work placements. Now you may think, how can internship and work placements work for 8, 9, 10? But what, for example, we have started sending children to our nearby shops, dairies, and so on, because I live near a dairy area, a forest area. So we have started sending children to the dairies, and that log we are maintaining online. And with those dairy people, we are maintaining a continuous log, and they are putting it on it. So we get a feedback from them also continuously. So this is something what we are doing. And I feel that open-ended questions is something which is so very important, for which there is no right or wrong answer. Every child has his own abilities and ways of thinking, but that gives a lot of, I should say, an opportunity for exploration. And these are some of the ways, several examples of competency based assessments. We have taken up this program called Skill Builders from UK, which concentrates on 8 kind of competencies. And last 2 years we are working on it. So it is communication and collaboration, creativity, aiming high, and team building, group work. So there are about 8 competencies over there: reading, listening. And I'm very proud to say that we did it so intensively, so exhaustively, that we are the winner of the Gold Award Asia for last 2 years. Yeah. And
So nice.
so we have total focus on skill-based development rather than rote learning. And this year we are selected for the Accelerators program of UK. So these are the two things which we are doing. And the Generation Global, which gives a lot of opportunity to go online and connect with schools from different countries. So we connected with more than, last week only, children connected with 12 countries. So when the children connect and they talk, the teacher also joins, and teacher makes silent notings or observation. We have observation sheets and questionnaires. So after the session is over, we have this questionnaire used, and during the observation, teacher makes note as to how children are collaborating, what is their knowledge base, and what are their skills of communication. We give them a feedback also there and then. So we have designed a feedback rubric. So all these things are happening, and they are giving us very positive results. And that is how we are taking competency-based learning ahead. And we have reserved time for that. These are in the timetable also for Skill Builders program. So every week we have 1.5 hour totally devoted for that, because for every skill there are 16 steps also. So very structured program. So 45 minutes in a week for every class, right from third standard we have it. Thank you.
I think that's pretty, ma'am. That is so. Congratulations, ma'am. First of all,
Yeah.
and I think it's an achievement for your school. And also, I've shared a link with you. I guess this meeting is about to end. Can we join that link, ma'am?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Congratulations, Seema ma'am, again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, Praveen ma'am. Firstly, would you like to add something to ma'am?
Yeah, Seema ma'am has, congratulations, Seema ma'am. It's a
Thank
big
you. Thank you. And I think all schools should take up the Skill Builders program.
Yes, I believe so. Right. So, ma'am has again covered most of the points. Some of the things that we are using is We are again using a lot of demonstration, theater, dance, drama into the classroom. Art integration is something that is very close to our heart. Then we are also using a lot of flipped classroom activities where the students take up the roles of a teacher and they come and take up different topics and they make the question banks. They come and take the remedial classes for the students of the lower classes. So that way, it not only nurtures a very good human being in them who learns to collaborate and cooperate and who has the values like empathy, it also helps them to revisit and revise their own concepts. And that is how we are doing a sort of team building, which is seen in the school when my own students come back and say that we've never seen a case of bullying in our school, and the older students are very, very caring towards the younger students. And we have the junior leadership ready, where if the teacher is not there, the senior students are able to take up the role of taking attendance in the buses, making the head count come to life in the bus on the buses. So these are some of the very innovative things. Then we have quality circles in place where students identify a problem and then they sit around in the circle and no idea is sort of rejected and they come out with the solutions to their own problems. So it is like you can say it's like experiential learning. They learn beyond the classrooms, they learn outside of the classrooms, and they learn by doing and attending to the real life situations in this.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so
Wonderful.
much, ma'am. Moving forward, Jayashree ma'am, Seema ma'am were mentioning about some of the challenges that they are currently facing in their school. Ma'am, when we speak about the potential barriers or resistance, so what are some of the potential barriers in your opinion, ma'am, that can come, when we are talking about implementing assessment reforms or competency-based learning, ma'am?
You are expecting me to answer?
Ma'am, Jayashree ma'am.
Jayashree ma'am, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah,
Ma'am, you're
any
on mute.
change is not easy to happen unless there is a change of mindset. I think that is primarily going to be a major barrier. But once people understand the merit of competence based learning as compared to the kind of conventional learning that our children are having, I'm sure there shall be no resistance. But then it is all about educating parents also in this regard. Because many times parents are also so much worried about note taking in the class, okay, ensuring that the notes are completed, the answers are by hearted, and then they get so stressed out when there are multiple assessments happening parallelly. They come back to us and say, "Wow, how do I expect my child to handle?" It is like I have to tell him, "I am more confident about your child than what you are. So just leave it to us." So you know what? They are actually paranoid by the thought of assessments.
Yeah.
I think high time we start making learning so much of a fun in the classes. There should be a thrill of exploring, excitement of discovering, and then for certain learning has happened. Okay, I mean, it's not about appearing for exams. Summative exams absolutely does not capture learning. So somewhere I think we have to bring about that kind of a renaissance, which I'm sure is happening. I mean, with more and more parents being aware about it, and I think with globalization happening, with the challenges that people experience when they travel abroad and they see how the skill-based approach is being seen so much of with I mean, it's more rewarding as compared to the academic kind of excellence that we all harp about. So I think moving forward, I don't see much of a challenge, but yes, uh, there has to be a major effort made in by all of us to bring in that change.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much, Jayashree, ma'am. Moving forward, Seema ma'am, when we are speaking of assessment reforms and competency-based learning, so ma'am, how do we relate this to personalized learning approaches?
I think personalized learning approaches, there are a lot many things which go into it. But I feel that when we talk of personalized learning approaches, it is very essential that we take into consideration as to what are the individual student progress areas that we need to focus on. Today, there is a lot of confusion when we talk about knowledge, skills, and attitude. Um, Teaching fraternity itself is confused about what should we give weightage for. Should we give weightage for knowledge? Because finally, marks is something that is going to count. Marks is something that is going to really make a difference in the child's life. Skills is something which is because getting admissions. Marks are basically for getting admissions somewhere. But skills are essential if he wants to survive through. So I tell my children when they come with 95% of marks, then I tell them now I don't want to see your marks. After 5 years, when you are able to really be successful in life, then I will say that those marks had value. So that is one important thing. But what gets neglected in this is the attitude that we are developing in the children. So when we talk of personalized learning, we need to look at this attitude aspect of it. That what sort of attitudes are we developing in our children while we are teaching them so many aspects of 21st century skills or 21st century based knowledge. So I think personalized learning happens when we are able to understand our children better, when we are able to I will not use the word differentiate, but we are able to give that differentiated learning aspect to our teaching, so that every child feels that I have learned something different. And that is why I always believe in the KWL chart which we put up, where K stands for the knowledge that I have achieved, what I wish to know, and what I have learned. And that's why the wisdom wall in the classroom also is so very important, which gives us an idea whether our learning objectives are really achieved or not. That kind of an approach is very essential for us to understand whether children have really understood, because otherwise, we are on two different poles. We are on the north, they are on the south pole, and we are trying to assess something, and we feel, oh, we have done a good job, but at the end of the day, we realize, oh, this is not what the children really wanted, or this is not what the children have achieved. And that is why this personalized learning, and I think technology can help us a lot in that. So right now I will talk about something where we have used word walls, where we have used Padlets, and those things have given us a lot of positive results. When especially while using Padlets, Mentimeters, where answers start coming, and oh, then we come to know, children are really understood what we are trying to do. And ever, but this is something that this particular child has not understood, and I need to work on that. So I understand my own gaps, and I understand and realize my students' gaps also. So I think this gap in learning can be taken care of. This personalized approach with technology becomes much more easy. We may think, oh, technology is something which takes us distant from the children, but it is not so. If we use it very aptly, then it really makes a difference. I hope everyone agrees with what I'm saying. If you have any other views, please put it across, because personalized learning is again very, very personal thought, where we get into it. Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
I
Seema.
totally resonate with what Seema ma'am has to say. And actually, learning itself is such a complicated process.
Yeah.
It's not about writing down, being attentive. Even when you are attentive in the class, does not necessarily mean learning has happened.
Exactly.
Okay, I mean, if you are active, doesn't necessarily mean. So it's so much beyond it. So I think a personalized learning approach is super, super essential, because every child, I mean, the teacher has to know. So many times, teacher also misunderstands her own eloquence in taking the class. Her ability to speak as ability to teach. Okay, so there are times when teachers are the best speakers. They come out of the class, and when you ask the class what they have understood, they say, "Yeah, she spoke very well, but we didn't understand anything out of it."
And that is why I feel that assessment technology gives us an upper hand, in the sense that we are able to give personalized instructions to the children, knowing their approaches, knowing their abilities and capabilities. So this is something which is possible in personalized learning, through technology. That every child, what kind of an instruction that particular group of children need, that can be very easily done through technology. I hope Roy ma'am agrees with that.
Yes, I 100% resonate with what you both said, ma'am. And also I also feel that it is personalized learning or teaching is one of the methods that we use, but in a classroom scenario it is always integrated with a group learning. So personalized need may be that the children may have different educational need, they may have gaps at different level, but most of the time in the progressive school when we are doing different, we are using different strategies. Most of the time it is the group learning which happens, and in the process of learning in a group, the personalized teaching or learning also happens when a teacher takes round and she points out the challenges that an individual is facing or the gaps, or while evaluating the worksheet, she calls individual students to her desk and just talks to them for 2 minutes, and she gives her feedback on what she felt was could have been a better piece of work. So the both things go hand in hand. These are not watertight compartments, and I think they are so well integrated that at times it gets very difficult to segregate them into whether we are actually doing personalized learning or teaching, or we are doing in group. For example, today, like in my classroom, while I was teaching English, the learning outcome that I was looking at was the collaboration and the presentation and communication. And I asked them, we had a Shark Tank happening in the classroom, and students came and presented. They were pitching their product, and they were working in pairs. So now it was a teamwork which was happening. It was the work, pair, and share activity which was happening. But at the same time, when each student spoke and he was pitching his or her product, the personalized learning was also happening because I was giving a very individual feedback to every student. So that is it.
Yeah, so this engagement makes the learning very meaningful. So from group, they move into their personal zone
Yes.
also. Yeah, it's really very interesting to see that happening. And I think for that, the teacher's observation and her ability to understand the student works the best,
Precisely. I agree.
engage our children.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much, Seema ma'am, Jayashree ma'am, and Praveen ma'am for being here today. It was lovely having you here and listening to your viewpoints and experiences, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to meeting you, Jayashree ma'am and Seema ma'am, somewhere
Yeah,
in
same
future.
here, same here.
Bye.
Same
Bye.
here. It would be wonderful to, yeah,
Thank you
collaborate.
so much.
Yeah.
I think
Thank you.
NCAP should call us once in person so that we are all there on the
Sure,
Yes.
ma'am. We will.
Yeah, yeah.
Bye
work
bye.
that out.
We would love to, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you so much. Thank you.
thank you, ma'am. Have a
Bye-bye.
good day.